Grandmama used to pray, oh Lord, please save them from the evil snares and all the dangers that entangle. Yea, though they walking through the valley of the shadows, just prepare and make them fit for every battle, because I know they bound to come, and I know they bound to fall, but in your bounty, Lord, preserve their beautiful. Right, we still survive and offer grandma's prayers, surrounded by the jungle and the lion's den. Tread light, cause these traps is inconspicuous. They hide right in plain sight, thinking we don't see them when they linger. Look right beneath the surface, then leave a trail of corpses. Crisis, prices, your life a disposable commodity. Like living in this fantasy, conditioned to believe that the system even cares whether selling CDs or walking or driving or reading. Look, they don't even need a reason. It's just you breathing and being black. When it's such a pretty fall, it don't seem like we falling at all, at all. It's just a GMO dream, where things are never really what they seem. Please cue the violins, tell them just to play me something pretty, cause this gritty city got me screaming bloody murder. So they got me screaming. This gritty city got me on some. Look, get your hand up on my pocket. Distraction, so lazy they use the same tactics. Like condom with some trinkets, just don't let them get to thinking. That light bulb gets a blinking. You know niggas and ideas. Oh dear, my dear, you may not know me, but I know you very well. Foresight, they say hindsight is 2020. Well, tell me something, we gotta see that history is on repeat. And maybe it takes a beat and a melody to speak a little louder than the message in the clouds or the essence in the air. I swear, my God is just so clear that a system driven by fear can never give us nothing but more of the same things. Oh, when it's such a pretty fall, it don't seem like we falling at all. It's just a GMO dream, where things are never really what they seem. Please cue the violins, tell them just to play me something pretty, cause this gritty city got me screaming. It's murder. Got me screaming, got me. This gritty city got me on some.
What's happening, good people? We are live and direct. I am Kalonji Changa, riding shotgun. I got my brother from another in the building. I mean,
you're riding shotgun?
Huh?
You're riding shotgun?
Am I riding shotgun? I could
be.
Maybe that's all right. Good. You know what I mean? You got you in the driver's seat. I'll ride shotgun. Click, clack. Give my shit back. Anyway, we're in the building. Got my brother Kimba. What's happening, Kimba? How you feeling, brother?
Hey, I'm feeling good and inspired and motivated too after that intro. Fire intro.
Okay. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it. I thought it was time for a new one. You know what I mean?
Oh, no, man. She hit that bar, man. System driven by fear. You expecting change? What?
No doubt. That's the homie. Yeah, we're grateful for that, man. We're grateful for that. You know, it's a lot going on in the world. We've been hitting these airwaves kind of hard lately, you know, not because we wanted to, because we felt it was necessary for us to do what we need to do. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? When we got to do it. Where you at today, man? You in Philly, Brooklyn, Jamaica?
Yeah, not Jamaica, but Philly. Yeah, right now I'm in Philly. I just came back from Brooklyn yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know they hitting the streets hard. New York always in the streets, and Philly doing their thing too. I actually gotta make a run. You know what I'm saying? After we finish up here, get out there in the community. Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. That's the beautiful thing about being an organizer. You know what I'm saying? You got to go out there and deal with the people, and you know that's always a wonderful thing. Of course, it's no secret we here today on this particular episode. First, I say shout out to Hard Knock Radio. I've been filling in for DVD over there, and I did a show a little bit earlier that'll be out this evening around why Black folks have to be involved when it comes to this ice fight. Because, you know, sometimes we think that we're exempt and we expect some type of breed and, you know, this is about everyone else and everything else, right? So shout out to, you know, you all look out for that episode featuring journalist Georgia Fort and also one of our favorite attorneys, Nana Giamfi, who laid it down and made sure that, we got everything in order. Today, again, we know that, there was a situation yesterday where a young woman, a 37-year-old, was gunned down by ICE in Minneapolis. And one of the wild things about it, which is really not wild, but if you don't understand this system, you'll be confused. She was not a quote unquote immigrant or migrant. She wasn't quote unquote African or anything else or whatever. She was a what they would be deemed a born American, right? And so, she ended up, running into ICE. She was, they said she was an observer, and things went awry. She was murdered, and it's on camera. We're not going to show it on here because we know that you can find that everywhere. Again, it's Black Power Media, and we want to say that today we're going to peel back the layers on this crisis and the terrorization of our community, or the terrorizing of our communities under the guise of public safety. Of course, like I said, we're talking about the ICE invasions, which is a systematic targeting of our people that proves under this current regime that nobody is safe. We aren't just going to look at the policy. We're going to look at the cost of human life. We're going to look at the detention centers, and we're going to look at a little bit of everything. So today, I wanted to bring on an attorney that I respect. She's been on the platform in the past. I know she's been out doing serious work out in the Charlotte area and beyond Charlotte, but I think her practice is based in Charlotte, North Carolina. She is a renowned attorney, esteemed immigration attorney, and her name is Zoila Velasquez. We're gonna bring Zoila to the stage. Zoila, what's happening? How you feeling? Peace. Can you hear us?
I can't hear you guys. I don't know if you can hear me.
We hear you well. You can't hear us? Okay.
I can't hear y'all.
Okay. So we may want to go out and come back in. So let's see that. See if we can work on that. Work on the sound. We've been having a little bit of technical difficulties every now and then because I don't know. I think that certain people don't want us to be heard or be broadcast. So we're going to see if we can get Attorney Zoila Velasquez to log out and log back in. Y'all stay put. What's your take on this situation real quick while I communicate, brother?
Yeah, you said something earlier. I kind of it sparked a thought when you talked about why Black folks, we have to understand that this struggle against ICE, which is a struggle against this oppressive regime, right, and government, because ICE is the government, it's part of the government.
Yes.
Just making a quick connection, because when I see, as a historian, I'm always looking at things that are happening right now and looking at patterns, like how it resembles our past, and particularly as African people in this country. And you can go to various locations around the country, but particularly Cincinnati, when Cincinnati had their riots in 1829, and just looking at the language that they were using during those riots, or I should say, like the massacres that were taking place and how they were forcing Africans out of Cincinnati. A lot of the same reasons that are excuses that the white power structure is using today, they were using back then, right? Mm-hmm. They were looking at the Black population that were moving into Cincinnati as a threat to their labor. So they would talk about that. How we doing? Let's see.
I can hear you guys.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. But that's that now we got our guests back, but just understanding that the things that we see the state doing to the immigrant population is the same thing that they were doing to and they're still doing, but to the Black population. We were always looked at as a threat when we started moving into cities, and we were already here in America, but just the fact that we were trying to move into these cities to take on jobs, we were looked at as competition, looked at as a threat, and they forced the African population in Cincinnati out of Cincinnati. These are people who are supposed to been free citizens in Cincinnati, and many of them had to go to Canada, flee to Canada. Black American citizens, right? And so, that's something, because today we see that happen, whether they're undocumented or documented. It's a war on everybody that's not white. But yield the floor.
No doubt. Attorney Zoila Velasquez, happy to have you on. It's been a minute.
Thank you for having me.
No question. I want to ask you, because of the fact that I know you've been in the game. You like Biggie, been in the game for years.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So what we witnessed yesterday, what are your thoughts on that whole particular situation? Because we know that I believe it's been like 5 or so people killed by ICE over the past year.
Yeah, in their enforcement actions. And, I think my first initial thoughts were echoing, I think, what the mayor was saying and the governor about how this was so foreseeable. People have been calling this out. This is going to happen sooner, and here it is. I think that it's getting a lot more attention because this is a United States citizen. And I think in the other fatalities, I think they were undocumented folks and the target, I think, of some of the enforcement operations. And so this is, I believe, the first instance of a United States citizen legal observer being killed. So, it's getting the attention that I think the other cases should have gotten and didn't. But I'm happy to see that maybe there's some change, something can happen as a result of this.
Yeah, and this happened in Minnesota. And folks remember, Minnesota is the place where George Floyd had a knee on his neck for close to 10 minutes. You know what I mean? He was murdered in front of the world by Derek Chauvin, a very racist pig, in 2019?
It was
2020. Okay, it's so much going on, man. These numbers, they run concurrent. So 2020. Looking at this, what kind of message when you see a quote unquote U.S. citizen? You know what I mean? When you see a quote unquote American, when you see them gunned down on camera, because at first, who's checking it out in mainstream media was like, and also the Department of Homeland Security and ICE, they were saying like, look, this woman tried to run over ICE agents, so on and so forth. Then we see the cameras from the citizens, the footage from the citizens, and it's like, no, she wasn't trying to run you over. She was trying to escape. But this is for all prices. For all practical purposes, sorry, I'm all tongue-tied today. This is a white woman in America. What kind of message does this send to the people at large? Because, as the title of this show, we feel that nobody's safe. What's your thoughts on that?
Right. I mean, I think that, and, this is nothing new, but the fact that this is a white woman who was killed is going to receive more attention, as is usually the case when the victim, does have that privilege. And I think when I got into the conversation, you all were talking about, what this means for the Black community. And I think that, how they always say, like, they come for the immigrants first, and then they come for, the women or the United States citizens. It's like, now that this has happened, and it could have happened here in Charlotte as well. There was another white woman who was stopped by ICE, and they were trying to break the window with the gun. And, you know, and this was a white United States citizen. I mean, since, you know, we are racially profiling, she was a white woman. I think if they can be so, if they are not even considering the white privilege that comes with, you know, targeting United States citizens who are just observers, then I think everyone, us much less, you know, we don't even have that privilege or those protections. So the fact that they are disregarding the privilege that comes with this victim just goes to show that none of us we're even less safe. And probably with even less consideration, will our lives be taken and happen? As you mentioned, there have been 5 deaths. So yeah, it's a scary time. It's definitely a scary time. We saw the president go, and just on your point about George Floyd, I believe this was like a mile away from where he was killed. So this community is going through a lot right now with all of that being brought back up. But I think the president was actually saying that the officer was recovering. He had been hit and he was in the hospital recovering well.
What was he hit by? His gun?
The kickback.
Right. I mean, it's like we see it in 4K, but this president continues to gaslight us and play in our face. But we can all see what happened. So it's just, yeah, it's disgusting that they would, and the Secretary of Department, Secretary Noam as well, I think echoed, of course, his views, but those are lies. So we see it on tape.
No doubt. Kimber, you had
I mean, for them to come out too, like right away, and to label this domestic terrorism, like to put that on this woman, it just shows how wicked, you know, these people are. You said something that made me think about, and hopefully, I think this is all connected because it's still talking about ICE. Their ability, there was a law passed for that, or I don't know, it was this policy where they're able to racially profile people, like based on their skin tone, as well as like their accents as well, or dialects, I should say, as well. So is this true? Because I was seeing something. Well, yeah, I'll just leave it there because I've just been seeing some stuff, you know, on social media where they're actually like profiling people based on their accent, like asking them, where was you born? You know, you don't sound like you were born here. You know, which is wild. And are they using facial recognition too? I may be late to the game, but that's something that I've been noticing as well.
Yeah. So I believe it's a Supreme Court case that came out that said basically racial profiling is okay if you have, I guess, certain factors, including language being spoken, like the area where you are, skin color. So yeah, this is a Supreme Court case that I believe came out recently that basically gave the okay, which is why, you know, I remember when everyone was outraged at like the show your papers laws that were being proposed years ago. And now it's just green light and standard policy. So we've come a long way in the worst way, but yeah, that's just commonplace now, according to the Supreme Court, I believe. I'm trying to pull up that case real quick, but yeah, it was a Supreme Court case.
Definitely. And I think they were calling it was something about appearance as well, not just, but as another guest pointed out earlier today, you know, as we already know,
Kalonji, I can't hear you now.
Oh, you can't hear? You can hear me?
Okay.
Are you able to hear me?
Okay. So I guess when we're talking about serious things, sometimes
talking about the courts.
yeah. And
racial profiling.
This has been ongoing this week. We've had, you know, different guests. We're talking and then they can't hear, so on and so forth. So I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist or whatever. We're going to wait for Attorney Zoila Velasquez, who's joining us today from Charlotte, North Carolina, to you know, to come back on. you know, this is what comes with it. This is what comes with, you know, having your own, you know, platform. So Attorney Zoila Velasquez is back with us. Let's see if she can hear us.
I
Please,
can
can
hear
you
you
hear
now.
us?
Yeah.
That's all good. For some reason, Zoila, this has been this week. We start talking about certain things, and all of a sudden, you know, we all like Helen Keller's children. But it's
How
all good.
strange. Very,
Yeah.
very odd.
We don't want
At
to be
a time
conspiracy.
where you see like around the world internally, the population and around the world, like people are completely like rising up against empire. So, I mean, it makes sense. Makes sense, man.
Right. I mean, the propaganda wars are in full effect. We were just talking about how, you know, how quickly the president and Noam got on television and tried to villainize the victim here, because it's all about information at this point.
Indeed.
The war over information.
Yeah. You know, last time you came on, one of the things you talked about, like that a lot of folks aren't familiar with, is when folks think of immigration, they automatically think about Spanish-speaking people. They think about folks who were colonized by that particular colony. They think about Mexicans. They think about folks from El Salvador and so on and so forth. But one of the things you mentioned was, and I don't want to misquote you, but I know at one point, I believe you said that during that time, that Haitians were amongst the largest population of detainees and also folks who were being deported. Did I get that fact right, or am I a little off?
Yeah, I mean, whenever there's any anti-immigrant policy that's put into effect, it's always immigrants, Black immigrants that suffer the worst, always. As far as like the numbers and the percentages of people impacted, it goes that way. I mean, I was even this situation, I believe I was trying to figure out, because apparently this is like the largest ICE surge, the one that's taken place in Minneapolis. And I was trying to figure out why such a focus on Minneapolis. And it looks like that is where the Somali community is. That is where they've been focused on. I guess there was some alleged fraud with some child care funds issued by the state or something to that effect. So, you know, you're asking that question. And again, it is, I think, the large Somali community, which we've heard, you know, the administration disparage on TV time and time again. Apparently, I believe that is the reason why they are focused on Minneapolis. So once again, it comes down to African immigrants really being targeted in Minneapolis is why they're there.
So
yeah, they've been operating too. I feel like there's a connection between what's U.S. Military operations in Somalia and of course, like Trump, he's a child. He has these personal vendettas against people, and I feel like him and what's the sister's name, the rep out there, that they're always going.
Noam.
No, the Somalian sister.
Oh, Ilhan Omar, Representative Omar. Yeah. I forgot about that. Right. He's got a personal.
Yeah. Because they speak. That sister, she speaks her mind. You know, like a lot of others. So, you know, again, man, he's so immature. He take things personal, and so I feel like that's part of the attack, but that's still like small in the larger picture, scheme of things. They have been operating military operations in Somalia for years, at least last year in 2025, they've been dropping bombs in Somalia, supposedly targeting ISIS, I don't know what the resource, as far as like resources or any, like what's the reason for it outside of like ISIS. But it's still like, geographically, you think about geopolitics, it is a strategic position, I think, for the US to have some presence over there. So I don't know.
Yeah, and you don't, and that brings us to another point that you really can't ever get away from, which is if this country hates immigrants so much, stop bombing other countries and creating immigrants.
Right.
You can't have it both ways. It just so happens that
Mhm.
geographically Latin America is close to the United States. So, what foreign policy, how the United States foreign policy impacting Latin America is going to quickly turn around and turn into a migrant crisis because just
Mhm.
where we are. But yeah, that's the same point. Um, he has such an issue with Somalis being in the United States, Representative Omar being in the United States, but never looks at, the foreign policy that creates migrants in the first place,
Mhm.
which he seems to be ramping up. So it's like, in Venezuela, and I'm sure I get to that, but right, it's a long legacy of that. So, yeah.
So detention centers. I know you represent outside of Charlotte as well. Can you talk about that process? Because I think that many folks are disillusioned and they believe that, if you are quote unquote captured and you are detained, then all you have to do is prove your citizenship and you can just go home and everything's cool. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Talk about that. And what are some of the regions that you have clients in, and how does that process actually work, and what is the detention process like?
So when someone's detained, so I'm in Charlotte. So when someone's detained in North Carolina, I believe South Carolina, and Georgia, they are sent to, well, traditionally, nowadays, they have been sending people all over the country purposefully to make it difficult for them to get representation and see their families. But generally, folks will end up either in Stewart Detention Center, which is in Lumpkin, Georgia, or I have a client right now that's in Folkestone. There's a detention center out there. So back before this year, and for the past 30 years, a person who was here undocumented, if they ended up in immigration detention, would seek a bond with an immigration judge, and they would take the same factors into consideration as they do in criminal court: flight risk, danger to the community. So, if you're a United States citizen, you should not be in immigration detention, but you would have to be undocumented, right, to end up in immigration detention. Now, you've got to show that you're not a flight risk and you have roots in the community, and you're not a danger to the community. So that's where whether you have an ability to fix your papers, to legalize your status, would come into play. As of this year, the administration has passed precedent cases through the Board of Immigration Appeals saying that any person who is here undocumented is no longer eligible for a bond. So that is overriding 30 plus years
Mhm.
of case law, and it's being litigated in court right now. But basically, right now, anyone who's undocumented, it's really hard for them to get a bond. All the immigration judges are saying that they don't have jurisdiction, which is absurd. So now people are having to remain in detention if they want to fight their deportation, and are not able to get out on a bond. So we're having to do habeas corpus actions in federal court, to basically force a consideration on bond, because the immigration judges are all saying they can't even consider a bond. So no one's getting bonds right now in detention.
And what is, just for the record, like time wise, a time frame? If someone is held, is there like are they deported within a certain amount of time? Is it a mandate, or is it mandatory for them to be deported at a certain amount of time? And how much time do they actually spend in the detention centers themselves?
So there's not like a red line rule as far as how much time somebody can be detained, but it does need to be speedy because they are being detained. So I will say that they are moving those cases along quicker, and it's actually causing a lot of chaos in immigration court because the detained cases take precedent, understandably, over a non-detained person who has their freedom. So what's happening is we're showing up for trial, and the judge is postponing all the cases on the docket because the detained individuals take precedent. And there's so many people that are being detained that they're having to focus all their time on detained cases. So all the other cases are getting continued. It's very chaotic. Again, we'll show up and we prepped for this, turned in evidence, folks have taken off work, and then it's continued, and then it's continued again. So immigration court is a mess right now because of so many detained cases. But there's no time frame, but they are moving them along quicker. I can say that they are doing that. I would say within like a 6-month period, you should have your trial, what would be our equivalent of a trial. And at that point, if you win, you would have received a lawful status. And if you don't, you can appeal, but you have to stay detained.
I got a question about that. And excuse me if you answer this. I'm wondering, like, let's just say if they are undocumented, is there opportunity, like with these court cases, that they can win citizenship? Are they looking at their past record, as far as just like work and contribution here, or is it more so, well, nope, you outdone your stay here, and it's time for you to go back to your country?
So when someone's in immigration court, they are in removal proceedings, deportation proceedings. So they are in the process of being deported. And the only way that they're going to win their case and be able to stay in the United States is if they win some application for lawful status. So if you're in court, you're applying for something with the judge. I represent a lot of asylum seekers. So if you win your asylum case, you can in a year apply for a green card. There's also a lot of benefits that have to be done with USCIS, which is a different agency. So in those cases, you're going to want the judge to close your deportation case and let you fix your status with USCIS. So the only way you're going to get out of the removal proceedings and win a case and be able to stay here is if you either won an application for lawful status with the judge, or you are applying with this USCIS. And then if you lose with them, they'll send you back to court. So you're always going to have to basically come out of court with papers in order to win and stay.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I had a question, another question too, Kalonji. I kind of
go with it.
Yeah, we shifted a bit, but I wanted to just going back to the murder that this ICE agent committed. Is there some sort of like immunity with these ICE agents? Because I feel like the way they operating is like they know that there's no consequence to what they do out here in the streets. Do you have any thoughts on that or any insight on that?
Yeah, so my understanding is that they have very similar immunity to that of local law enforcement, with the added benefit of them being federal agents. So there's like some immunity, I guess, that comes with that. But yes, so it is similar to that of local police as far as immunity goes. So, there's like a reasonableness analysis, I guess, that needs to be made as far as the fear for the use of force. So very similar.
Yeah. And it's funny. It's not another question, but just to the whole thing of using the car as a weapon, right? Because that was the narrative they was pushing, and kind of like putting the law in the books of you use your car as a weapon. This is domestic terrorism and so forth. And I'm seeing this video, these ICE agents in Chicago in the streets, and they're stopping vehicles as they're driving. And this one ICE agent is talking about, don't hit me with your car. Don't hit me with your car. And so like my mind went to, oh, okay, is this going to sort of be like a reason for them to open fire on folks? Like, oh, I told him to stop and he just sped up, and they just start unloading. So I don't know. These just things I think we have to pay attention to.
Yeah,
sure.
It's like the stop resisting arrest joint. Stop resisting. You know what I'm saying? It's like, dude, I ain't even say anything. What are you talking about? Stop resisting. We don't had that joint before, and the police. And I think we got to remember too, as the attorney pointed out, indeed, that they have federal jurisdiction, but they're still police. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like there's nothing different when it comes to it. It's not like, we talked about like the racial profiling and all that type stuff. It's the same shit, no matter what their badge look like, no matter what letters on the back, whether it's FBI, ICE, whatever the case, CIA, NYPD.
You know, same family, right?
Yeah, all the same gang. You know what I'm saying? A pig is a pig, no matter what color it is, right? I want to ask you too, Zoila. You have we use the term ICE invasions rather than raids. From a legal perspective, how these tactics evolved to be more aggressive in private residential spaces?
I mean, they used to have sensitive a sensitive locations policy where there were certain locations that were off limits, just from, you know, a very basic level of just ethical standards, as far as not going into churches, not going into schools, not going into courthouses. And now all that's gone. So again, it kind of I have to constantly reflect on how we used to be outraged by some of the things in the past that nowadays we don't even have that. You know, like I was mentioning about like the like check your papers laws, as we coined them back when, and there was a lot of pushback against that, and now like that is standard policy. So back when, as far as like how enforcement actions have devolved, back then there were some standards of decency where, again, you wouldn't go to churches, you wouldn't go into schools, you wouldn't go into courthouses. Nowadays, that's actually their primary point of focus. In Charlotte, they were showing up to churches. They were chasing folks through the woods behind churches. They were showing up at schools, courthouses, because that's low-hanging fruit. You know, you're going after children and parents and people that have to go to work and people that have to go to court and are actually trying to go to court and do it right. That's low-hanging fruit for them. So, you know, I'm sure you guys have heard like the stats on the number of people with criminal records is like ridiculous. It's like 3% or something abysmal like that. So yeah, any standard of decency that used to exist is gone now.
Right.
So it's like just the Wild West, really.
No doubt. It's always been the Wild West. That's
right. Right.
You know that's the only thing they say that we agree on. You know what I'm saying? It's always definitely been the Wild West. Reports of medical neglect and physical abuse in detention centers are rising. What are the most egregious conditions you are seeing currently, or that you've seen?
Yeah, so I think we're at a historic high for the number of deaths in detention. I think we're in the 30s since the beginning of the administration. And from what I've seen, it's usually a medical neglect situation. Folks that need life-saving medicines are not being provided them. I have a client in detention right now who is describing the same conditions. Just he'll pay for something from the canteen, pay for it, won't get it. Medicine, can't get any medicine, will pay for it, the guards won't give it to them. And there's, you know, you have to once upon a time we had some level of oversight, you know, within these agencies, and you can make a complaint to the civil rights offices for this kind of treatment. But now everything is so politicized, just blatantly, that a lot of these ombudsman's offices, so for example, with USCIS, there's an ombudsman office that's there to make sure that they're following the law, following the rules, you know, not just erroneously denying cases without basis. And they did away with that office. So I don't know if that's happened as well within the, I guess it would be the Department of Homeland Security or ombudsman's offices that you would make civil rights complaints to. They're just non-existent at this point, either on paper or not on paper. They're just because I think actually, for example, they brought that office back that I was referring to, and they're just once the court said they had to come back, they just started sending just generalized emails to folks saying we can't help you. So who would you even complain at this point to? And I think that folks know that, and so they are abusing their power and know that there are very little checks on anything right now.
No doubt. did you say that they were paying for medicine and weren't receiving it? So they actually have to pay for their medicine?
Right. I think like Advil, things like that for pain.
Right.
But yeah, they were paying, my client's been paying for things and not been receiving them.
It's crazy.
Real, I think I always wanted to. It's just something I've been thinking about too, just in regards to this deportation.
I can't hear
Oh,
Kimba. I don't know if you can.
Yeah, I hear you, Kimber. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't hear him.
Okay, cool.
Wow.
I think Kimber's mic is bugged. Kimber, you good?
I don't know what's going on.
Right, they keep taking one of us out at a time.
You know what I mean?
Unbelievable, man.
Popping us off.
But I just wanted to speak to the contradiction.
Well, I'll try to log back in so I can hear him.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I could repeat what I'm saying, but just the whole thing about I was kind of pivoting to Venezuela and the whole
that's
deportation.
What I was Yep. Right there.
There you go.
Okay,
yeah, it's like deporting the Venezuelans, man. Like, but then you go there to take someone.
Yeah.
Take someone from Venezuela. But definitely want to hear your thoughts on that, man. How you feeling though, bro?
I'm alive on arrival, man. Shout out to the chat. Definitely appreciate y'all checking us out. Y'all been showing up lately. This show right here, Nobody's Safe. We trying to lay it out. This is attorney Zoila Velasquez. She's an immigration attorney out of North Carolina, out of Charlotte. She's been on the platform in the past. We have another show that we will be broadcasting. Like I said, I'm moonlighting with Hard Knock Radio. Shout out to Hard Knock Radio on the Pacific Radio Network. Filling in for Davey D this month. And one of the things, we just interviewed two good people. And so make sure you be on the lookout for that one. We have attorney Zoila coming back on. Zoila, can you hear us now?
Yes.
Okay.
Peace.
Let's see if you can hear Kimber. Can you hear Kimber?
I can hear him now.
Okay. All right.
Peace.
Hopefully
Black
that's
power.
how we going out next, huh? In the beginning, we couldn't hear anyone. But again, we're grateful to have you on. I think that we want to pivot a little bit because we were talking about invasions. And I know your people are from Venezuela. You know what I mean? So you talked about ICE and invasions. You talked about lies, so on and so forth. How do we tie that in? Because I think that, it's a lot of similarities when it comes to, just the whole invasion process, just running up in people's shit and trying to control and dominate. You know what I mean? You talking about they ran up into the president's spot and decided that they're going to arrest the president. Instead of deporting him, they import him. They took him and his wife and they bring him to Manhattan and shit. I mean, like, it's absurd. Like, what's your thoughts on that?
Right. Well, I mean, it goes back to what we were talking about as far as the creation of migrants in the first place. And it usually has roots in United States foreign policy. So why are we why is the United States in Venezuela for the oil, right? And it's just, instability is going to come. Everyone's always we're always like, oh gosh, may the United States not find any resources in your country, because usually it's going to create conflict. There's going to be instability, and that's what's going to lead to the migrant crises that we have. It's a very strange day and age for me watching everything happening, because at the root of everything, there's complete lawlessness. Back when we would at least expect, congressional hearing, congressional authority, something. And it's just the brazenness with which laws are just being violated on, the micro level of ICE in these communities where, there's no constitutional rights right now for anybody. The way they violated international law and literally kidnapped the president out of his bedroom. It's just
and his wife.
And his wife. It's just a complete disregard for any law, any norm that ever existed. And it gives me mediocre white man energy, you know, like the entitlement to just think the rules don't apply to you and you can just do whatever. And you know, it's just like they're just waiting, like who's going to say something, like who's going to push back, who's really going to check this abuse of power. And I think at this point, really, the courts are really the only thing really trying to check him with any, you know, even though they are disregarding, or they tried, like with Abrego Garcia, they tried to ignore, you know, orders, but people had to keep the pressure up, basically, for them to, I mean, he's here now and he's been let go, and that fight was intense. So just holding this administration accountable and their agencies accountable is hard when there's absolutely no legal framework. You know, what we had is being completely disregarded.
I mean, it's insane that, like, I mean, I'm wondering, like, you all may be at a job soon. You know what I'm saying? Because there are no rules. You know what I mean? There are no, I mean, these laws, you know, it's like, what law? This is, you know, and then they come up with some straight up cockamamie, bogus, part of my English bullshit. They like straight up telling you, like, look, we're arresting this man for drugs.
They don't know what, they can't get this
story
straight.
Things that aren't even manufactured there. We're gonna come up with a bogus cartel name. It's so damn bogus that even the DOJ gonna be like, all right, it doesn't exist. And then they're gonna say we're gonna arrest him because he has machine guns. I mean, a country that has nuclear weapons, a country that has literally bombed other nations. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and you're gonna arrest someone for a machine gun. You had an atomic bomb that destroyed 250,000 people plus. You know what I'm saying? And you're talking about arresting the president in his own home, in his own country, as if you have jurisdiction. Still jacking the oil tankers, oil rigs. You know what I mean? I mean, just straight piracy in broad daylight. You know what I mean? So with ICE, it's funny just looking at, and again, it didn't start with this administration. You know what I mean? We don't want to get it twisted and say that, oh, it's all Trump. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the land of the thief and the slave. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about the USA, and this is business as usual. I mean, shit, they stole us. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they literally took
all they do is abduct people. Go to other countries and abduct people. That's
their profession. You know, I mean, what do you see? You know, because I imagine that it's like for you kicking off the new year. Okay, so you see the Venezuelan invasion. You see, you know, ICE is still running rampant. I mean, what's your prediction for this year? I mean, it's 2026. I mean, damn, we 8 days in. What the deal is? What's going on here?
Don't do me like that. A prediction for this administration.
You,
oh gosh! I mean, every morning I wake up and I'm like, what the, you know?
Come on, Zoila, help us stay here. We know you got the answers, man. What's that?
I think we all should get our self-care together, and you know, be able to find joy in everything, because I think the part of this, and you said something, you mentioned about like immigration law practice. You know, I think the point is to have us so messed up with everything that's going on that not only are we messing up in our, you know, in our jobs day to day, but we're just here miserable. And I refuse to allow this administration to steal my joy. So I think that we can't predict what I know. I did not expect for things to go as bad and as quickly as they did. You know, we survived this one time, the first time around, and I think I was like, well, you know, we survived once, we'll do it again. We kind of know what to expect, and I think this year has shown me that I don't know what to expect. I mean, the things that have been happening have been on a level that I would never have foreseen. So I cannot predict, you know, the president, who is very unpredictable. And so I'll just say, let's just all keep our joy, keep our peace, and not allow the things that are happening to stop us from doing our jobs, which is, fighting back against this machine. So yeah, let's keep the joy and let's keep going.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate you saying that. And to some, they may think of that as cliche, but they may think of it as like, oh man, what you talking about? Listen, when you've been doing this for a while, it's like they will literally, they are thieves of time. They will not only steal your joy, they'll steal your lifeline. You know what I'm saying? And you have to be able to breathe. Even fish come up to get some air. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like this is what we're dealing with. We're in such a insane predicament that I think that to a great extent we're also becoming immune to it. You know what I mean? And that's the danger of it. When you talk about revolution, Che Guevara said revolution is an act of love. And that is why folks that I know that organize and folks that I know that are in the street or attempting to resist, it's about love. It's not about us just, it's not about fashionable militancy. It's not about going out looking dusty and throwing your fists up and talking bullshit, talking about Black power in a powerless room. It's about really building. It's about, I don't even like the word allies. You know what I'm saying? I don't even want no allies. I want comrades. Either you about this life or not. I don't want to hear no damn Black Lives Matter t-shirts and posters and signs. You can keep all that shit. Either you are in this in some capacity. And everybody don't have to do the same thing. But if you're in this in some capacity, I can unite with it. One of the things that I think that, and we're going back and forth a little bit, and we have a little bit of time, but one of the things that people don't look at is when we talk about deportation, right? We forget about the fact that some folks are deported, but they're leaving families behind. You know what I'm saying? And so, it's like, it's almost, and I don't want to compare it because there's no true comparison, but, many of us our families were stolen from Africa. You know what I'm saying? And I can imagine, your son, your daughter, your mother, your wife, your husband, or whatever being stolen, just like in the prison system itself. They're stolen from our families, stolen lives, they're murdered, so on and so forth. But from your experience, what does the afterlife of deportation look like for, family members? Because I'm sure that, some of your clients or people they might not have won that, they might not have gotten the decision that they wanted to in their favor. You know what I mean? But they still had, children or parents or whatever. What does that afterlife look like? Because I can only imagine that it's devastating to those left behind as well.
Yeah, and a lot of the times it is the men in the family who are targeted and detained, and a lot of times the men are also the breadwinners. And so when that person is detained and the mother is undocumented as well, doesn't work, and you have to have some sort of application pending in order to get a work permit, to get a license. So a lot of times the spouse won't work, he doesn't have a license, doesn't drive, kids have to go to school, doctor appointments. I mean, your whole life is upended because the source of the family financial support is gone. And we know the childcare crisis that exists everywhere, and the cost of childcare is some people's entire salary. So you've got a person who has limited language, doesn't drive, is probably not going to be making a lot of money, and the majority of that money is going to go to childcare. I mean, it's an impossible financial situation to be in. Not to even get into the mental health consequences that the kids suffer from their father and provider being gone all of a sudden. And in those cases, the person is not going to be able to come back for at least 10 years. And even after that, it's going to be very difficult. So usually they're going to have to go back to the country. And there's a lot of instability and violence, unfortunately, in a lot of our countries. So it's a life, it's a life-changing it's a life-changing situation for these families once that person is gone.
No doubt. We want to thank you, Attorney Zoila Velasquez, for coming on last minute. Everybody this week's been last minute. You know what I mean?
Anytime.
Indeed.
I
think somebody was asking for some information, if that's what you're going to ask.
Yeah, what I was going to ask, how can folks in general support, this fight against ICE, support folks who are being detained, so on and so forth? Are there websites or are there, any suggestions as far as how folks should get involved, could get involved?
Can I put a comment in the chat for some organizations that are really amazing in our area? Southern Poverty Law Center is always doing great work in the Southeast. And there's another organization, it's the Georgia Detention Coalition. Let me look that up real quick and I'll put it in the comments if folks want to support some organizations doing good stuff.
Cool. No doubt. Definitely, like I said, we appreciate your work and appreciate you, adding on today. It's always good to have you on.
I appreciate y'all having me. Anytime. I'm happy to come back.
Sure, indeed. No doubt. So we'll see you soon. You can leave that in the chat.
All right. Sounds good.
No doubt. Be safe out there.
All right. Y'all take care. Talk soon.
Yes.
All right.
You're checking out RSTV. This is Black Power Media. We got my man Kimber. Kimber was trying to run out on me and whatnot, but I caught him as soon as he was trying to sneak out. Y'all should have seen him behind the scene. He's trying to chew all kinds of snacks. Falling off the side of his lip. Then when the attorney show up, all of a sudden his lips was clean. I don't know what happened. Did what he's supposed to do. Before he came on.
I can't mess with you, man. I can't
get yourself together, sir. You got stuff to do. Anyway, brother, definitely appreciate you coming on, joining the joint. Any closing words you got for the people, brother? Because I know you trying to finish that brown stew chicken or whatever you eating over there, brother.
I'm done. Conrad.
You're done now. Okay.
Just appreciate. You appreciate our guest laying it down. Did she leave her contact info? I think that there was people in the chat asking for it.
She's gonna leave it in the chat. She's an OG.
Oh, okay. She's working on
it. About what she do, brother. Stop doubting my guest, brother. What's wrong, man?
No doubt, man. Hey, I just want to tell people unite, man. People unite. I don't care your ethnicity, race. The war is on. Against all of us, man. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm always going to be African first, but we know we all got to live in this world together. So we all, have to struggle against this empire. Revolution is the only solution. Fight, dismantle the system. You know what I'm saying? But definitely maintain your peace, protect your peace at all times, for sure.
Sure indeed. Well, comrade, this has been another one for the books. Again, for folks that's checking us out, you can also check out, tune into KPFA over there on the West Coast, kpfa.org. It's a listener-supported, listener-sponsored station, Hard Knock Radio in particular. Like I said, I'm moonlighting over there this month, so make sure you check that out. We have another show that'll be broadcast tomorrow morning here on Black Power Media as well, which is centered around why Black people should get involved in this fight against ICE. Tune in tonight at 7 p.m. We have the Barons, Charles and Inez Barron. They'll be coming on tonight. Their show Operation Power is doing pretty good. Matter of fact, they got Ikemba's chairman on there tonight. You know what I'm saying? I told them that that Ikemba was coming back, but I don't know if Ikemba came back. With Chairman O'Malley and Yeshitella will be on the Barron show tonight. I might have to get in the chat and troll, be like, yo, did Ikemba come back yet? You know what I mean?
Don't do me like that. Don't
do you like that? Oh, I ain't snitching. I'm just asking, brother. Should I just ask you?
Hey, man, close this out, bro.
I just close it out. Like, stop lollygagging.
Don't do that in front of the people, man. Don't do me like that, man.
I'm sorry, y'all. I ain't got no home training. Anyway, this is RSTV Black Power Media Till next time, stay on the right side of the barricades. We out, baby.
Peace.
Peace.
Sometimes the riot is a quiet one, where the battle is to love yourself and function in society, where voices of reason are muted by anxiety, like gaining notoriety is selling your soul. So we tend to go no deeper than the shallow water level, trying to keep us overhead in the face of all the slurs and the stares, mentally frozen, paralyzed by fear of failure and success. So we lock, stock, barrel, running while it's crumbling. All these towers and they're babbling, but the baby's in the bath and the stash under the bed, on my head spinning from the circles and the puppets and the strings that they pull. Then we move. Reactionary warfare never produces when it's on the field. Feeble and foolish, what tools and what weapons are we using? We need some new ones. Real revolution, it's real solutions. Well, we've taken on the ways of the ones who conquer with their guns and religion and division. Got my inner me looking like my enemy. Real revolution. Well, my inner me, really a mirror for the galaxy. New time, brand new paradigms, new contracts to sign. They thought that this would all be televised, though it's happening right before our very eyes. It's on the inside, with their guns cocked. When that rock drops, standing on the rooftop, praying that the mountaintop can live inside the valley. People tell me the reward is somewhere off in heaven.